Hey there, and welcome. So, when you picture a tourism destination, what pops into your head? Is it a sunny beach? A city that's just buzzing with life? Or maybe some famous monument? Well, today we're going way beyond that postcard image. We're going to peel back the layers and understand what a destination really is, and look at the incredibly complex machinery that makes it all tick. Let's get into it.
Okay, take a look at this. You've got the sprawling, vibrant city, just packed with things to do, places to stay, and experiences to have. This is a classic example of a tourism destination. Pretty straightforward, right? But then you have this, a theme park. Now, it's not a city, obviously, but it's a whole world built just for visitors. And what this shows us is a really key point. A destination can be anything, from an entire country all the way down to a single purpose-built resort.
So that's the big question we're tackling today. What's the common thread that ties all these different places together? And, maybe more importantly, who's in charge of managing this whole complicated dance between people, places, and all those experiences?
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll nail down what actually makes a destination. Then we'll meet the main character in this story, the DMO. We'll get into what they do, the huge challenges they're up against, and finally, why their job is so much more than just making a cool logo.
All right, let's start at the beginning with the absolute basics. What exactly is a tourism destination?
The UN's World Tourism Organization gives us a pretty solid definition here. A couple of phrases are super important: physical space and spend an overnight. That overnight stay is actually what separates a tourist from a day tripper. But notice it also mentions stakeholders and this intangible image. So a destination isn't just a dot on a map. It's this whole complex web of stuff to do, people involved, and even a certain feeling or vibe. And this idea really comes to life right here. See, every single destination is a mix of the tangible and the intangible. The tangible things, that's the stuff you can literally see and touch. The beaches, the museums, the hotels. But the intangible stuff, the quality of the service, how friendly the locals are, the overall atmosphere, that's often what you remember most, isn't it? That's what makes or breaks the trip. So now we know what a destination is. But who's managing it all? Who's making sure everything works together? Well, let's move on and meet the conductor of this huge, complex orchestra, the DMO. A Destination Management Organization, or DMO for short, is the main group that steers the ship. You should think of them less like a boss giving orders and more like a facilitator, Their job is to bring everyone, from hotels and tour guides to government agencies, to the same table, all working toward a shared goal for the destination. Okay, this slide is basically our roadmap for understanding the whole DMO world. It lays out what they are, how they're different from a similar sounding group, the different levels they operate on, and what they actually do. We're going to use this to unpack how it all works, piece by piece. First things first, we got to clear something up. A DMO is not the same as a DMC. It's a common mix-up. As you can see, the DMO is a nonprofit. Its goal is the long-term health and success of the entire destination. A DMC, on the other hand, is a private, for-profit company that's all about logistics for specific groups or events, like planning a big corporate conference. Totally different missions. DMOs also work on different scales. You've got your national DMOs, which are basically the main tourist board for an entire country. Then you have regional ones, which focus on a specific state or province. And then you have local DMOs, working right down at the city or community level, like your local visitor center. So we know who they are and where they operate, but what do they actually do all day? Let's dig into the core jobs of a DMO. Now, here's what's so important to get. A modern DMO's job has grown way beyond just making pretty commercials. Yeah, marketing is still a huge part of it, but now they're also involved in developing the actual tourism product, managing services for visitors, digging into data, and maybe the most important job of all, getting all those different stakeholders to actually work together. And speaking of stakeholders, this visual really nails it. You see the DMO sitting right there in the middle, trying to build bridges between the government, private businesses, and local community groups. Without that collaboration, the whole thing just doesn't work. So who are all these stakeholders? Well, it's basically everyone you see here. It's the tourists, for sure, but it's also the local people who live there year-round, the government, all the tourism businesses, environmental groups, and every single person who works in the industry.
A really good DMO has to somehow juggle the needs and wants of all these different groups.
And let me tell you, juggling all those interests has never been tougher. So for this next part, let's look at the massive challenges that DMOs are facing in this incredibly complex world we live in. Just take a second and let this number sink in. The UN WTO is predicting 1.8 times billion international tourists by 2030. I mean, that is just a mind-boggling number, and it puts an almost unbelievable amount of pressure on popular places around the globe. And all that pressure leads directly to this term you've probably heard, over-tourism. It's basically that tipping point where tourism stops feeling like a good thing and starts to damage the quality of life for the people who live there, or even ruins the experience for the visitors themselves.
But over-tourism is just one piece of a much bigger, more complicated puzzle. DMOs today are navigating what is basically a perfect storm. You've got climate change threatening the very landscapes people come to see, you've got technology completely changing how we travel, and you have social media, which can create these sudden, massive, and totally unplanned surges of tourists to a specific spot.
And this is the perfect example of that last point. A hit show like Emily in Paris can suddenly cause a huge flood of visitors to specific streets or cafes, putting a massive strain on the local community and infrastructure. This isn't just a fun pop culture moment. For a DMO, it's a real-world management crisis they're now expected to handle.
Okay, so trying to navigate this perfect storm requires a totally different way of thinking. And that brings us to our final and I think most important section. What does the future of destination management actually look like? I absolutely love this quote because it just gets right to the heart of everything we've been talking about. A flashy marketing campaign might get people to show up for the wedding, right? But it's all the hard, behind-the-scenes work of management that creates a successful, lasting marriage between a destination, its people, and its visitors.
And that leaves us with this final question to really chew on. If a slick ad campaign and a cool logo aren't the answer, then what is? What does it really take to make a destination not just survive, but truly thrive for generations to come? What's the secret sauce of planning, community buy-in, and authentic experience that makes it all work?